Testing 1, 2, 3. The mic on? Find out soon enough. Alright, I think this is working. Not getting any feedback, but it's okay. We'll figure it out. Sure, we are live there. Fresh. Oh, looks like everything's working. Yay! Hey, welcome back everyone. Sorry for the delay there. I was just trying to fix my mic and camera on my end. It looked a little funky, but I think I got it all working, so it should be good. Oh, my chat bot crashed. I'm gonna reload that really quickly. If any of you happen to be watching and hear me, please let me know. Ah, hey Ninja, how you doing? Thank you for confirming you at least hear me. I'm reloading the chat bot right now. Awesome, Stratus. How you doing? Welcome back. I am wonderful, actually. So I was supposed to stream earlier today for office hours on our Discord, but phone's going off like crazy. Sorry. Let me just make sure it's muted. And my son had a doctor's appointment that we couldn't reschedule or change. It was just something they were able to squeeze him in last minute, so we ended up going and getting that done really quick. Didn't take us too long, so. Sorry, just one moment. My Steam feed isn't coming through and I just want to make sure it's working. TikTok, I want to make sure you're working as well. Is the feed coming through there? I think I fixed the Steam feed. You know, Ninja, I appreciate the feedback, and I'm glad that that other company did an update. It's always good when they stay relevant and competitive. I worry that such a dense space, there's so many companies making VTTs and map makers now, and it's bound to kind of get a little bit of static. And if you're a small team that you get feature creep really easy, it's easy to kind of get overwhelmed, and we as a team always are constantly making sure that is not an issue. We're always like dialing back efforts to make sure we're not putting too much time and, resources into something that the community doesn't actively want. So I'm glad that you left us a good review, and I'm sorry that, that their update left you a little underwhelmed, at least. What you been working on lately, map-wise? So, welcome one and all to the chat. We're live on all feeds right now across multiple platforms. Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Steam. So I'm monitoring chats on several platforms, doing my best to answer questions as they come in. I do want to point out that right now, Dungeon Alchemist is on sale. It's 20% off. It's a great deal through the Steam Autumn sale. And we also have a free demo of Dungeon Alchemist, so it's never been a better time to check it out. You can try it before you buy it, see how it runs on your computer, and then ultimately, if you enjoy it, get it at a 20% discount. Troutfoot. Stratus. Honestly, I appreciate you asking how I'm doing, by the way. Thank you. Hey, PSU Cosmic, how you doing? Welcome back. So this map, I found it on the workshop, last week when I was looking for candidates for a map for the Cartomancer Chronicles, and I just thought this one really popped. And I ended up featuring it in the Cartomancer newsletter. So, double whammy there, but I just think it's a beautiful map. I'm not sure why it's showing up as Map Dam, but it's called Fey Mushroom House. Very, very beautiful map. There we go. TikTok feed just came back. It crashed for me. You guys know each other. Hey, Francis, how are you? Island Lass over on Facebook watching us. Appreciate you. But essentially, it is a little mushroom dwelling. Likewise to y'all. To any of you that celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you. And if you're not aware of what that is, it's an American holiday. Celebrated tomorrow. Just, chilling out, eating some food. I'm gonna relax. And then, there's the following day is also kind of a weird pseudo-American holiday. It's like a big shopping day for a lot of people called Black Friday. I don't know. Hey, no, we're gonna be playing this game right here, actually, Left Fret, but I appreciate it, for the suggestion. But it kind of does look like Dota a little bit, doesn't it? Just kidding. Food, family, rest. I don't really go out and shop on Black Friday. I'm a homebody, and I'm probably gonna stream on Black Friday because it's the sales on right now, so I might as well. But ultimately, I will be around, at least Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday for streams due to the sale. To answer questions to new people in our community, to, take feedback and suggestions from existing members, and obviously the streams are AMA for anyone who has questions or suggestions and whatnot related to Dungeon Alchemist. Feel free to chime in at any time, and I will do my best to assist you. Right? It looks pretty cool overall. I think they did a great job. It is a little resource heavy with all the effects, but I like it. I think it's a good map. Definitely could act like a hag's lair. How would you use this map in your gameplay? Let's talk about it. Let's look at it in top-down, too, while we're at it. So this is the top-down view of this map. And let's turn on the grid, because I usually leave my grid off. Kind of transparent, so you can kind of get an idea of the grid spacing on this map, at least. Pocket, yeah, this could be inside of the pocket dimension. Or the inside of the mushroom house is a pocket dimension. Either one. Honestly, I don't even really think Black Friday sales are that great of a deal anymore. Um, like I used to work at Best Buy when I was younger, like in my late from like 18 to like 24, you know, for a little bit when I was younger. And actually a little bit longer than that now that I think about it. And I worked a few Black Friday sales and they were nuts. Like nuts. Like, I mean, lines going around like the block, around the entire building, looped a couple of times. People like rampaging and stampeding in, trying to get at stuff. I remember having a lady in the line that had her 3 young kids with her, and like they were all like in a stroller, like a double stroller, and one was standing, and they were like in their pajamas, and they were crying and upset and mad that they were in line. And the lady's like, don't you have any refreshments for them? I'm like, well, I mean, we do at checkout up front. There's some drinks and snacks like any store would have. Thank you for the likes, TikTok, much appreciated. But I ultimately was like so confused because she was mad at me that like we didn't have something for her kids that she brought into a store at like 3 in the morning. Um, like it didn't really like resonate with me at the time. Oh man, I have all sorts of funny customer stories. Like one time, like a lady insisted on a DVD rewinder. So like discs don't need to be rewound. If you're not familiar with, you know, watching a DVD or a Blu-ray, you know, for this day and age, because everyone does streaming. Um, like a Blu-ray disc or a DVD does not need to be rewound. You just start it over or go back, and you can jump between scenes. It's pretty nice, actually. But if you came from a previous era, there was tapes, uh, videotapes and audio tapes, and they needed to be rewound. Audio tapes, luckily, were two-sided, so you could flip it and it would play music again. Like both sides of the tape had data. But like a movie tape, they never really did that as far as I was aware. It was just one-sided, so you'd always have to rewind it. In fact, there was a device dedicated just for rewinding tapes. It was a VHS rewinder, and you would pull out your movie and put it in there so you could start another movie while it was being rewound by another device. It would also take a lot of wear and tear off of your VCR, so anyway, some crazy old school technology lore drop from a elder millennial for you. But VHS tapes, like, I mean, interesting medium, but I think it kind of just left that imprinted knowledge on people that you needed to rewind anything else. So imagine someone arguing with me for like a half hour about where our DVD rewinders were, and she insisted they were real, and I like ended up just pointing towards a really cheap DVD player to her, and she was happy and left. So yeah, they used them pretty heavily at like Blockbuster back in the day. The rewinders, they'd have like a stack of them on the counter, and they just put the movies in and rewind them. Also, that's where the phrase "please be kind, rewind" came from, with stuff like that, right? So I am monitoring multiple chats. Uh, if you have any questions related to what you're seeing on the stream, the sale, our upcoming development, or you just want to know how to build like a certain type of thing in Dungeon Alchemist, or maybe you're looking at this map, you're like, how did they build this? I'd love to know. Please let me know in chat, and I'll do my best to guide you through that. I do like all the suggestions, though. Respite area, pocket dimension, hag, shack, all great. Picking up some advanced old school. Where is that from? Who's selling those? One second. I forgot my water in the hallway. I'm gonna go grab it. What in the Underdark is this? This is a beautiful Feywild map that was made and shared on the Steam Workshop the other day, so I thought I'd highlight it on the stream. How you doing, Consummate Nerd? Give me one second. I'm gonna grab my water. I am so sorry for stepping away so rapidly there. I just wanted to get my drink. Huh, cool, Cosmic. Ooh, yeah, it could also be a Dreamscape or a Dream Visitor. That looks good. Also great suggestions there. I like that. But yeah, this map is available for on the Steam Workshop if anyone's interested. It's called Fey Mushroom House. Also, if you want to locate it really quick, it's actually highlighted in our weekly newsletter, the Cartomancer Chronicle. You could go to Read Latest Edition under this tab, and then just click it or click download, and it'll add it to your collection right away. I'll have to check that out. I'm not familiar with Necrotic Gnome or Exalted Funeral, but you know what? I'm always looking into new content. I noticed that there's like a big Pathfinder bundle on Humble right now, and I was thinking of grabbing it because I want to start playing Starfinder, and I know a lot of the Pathfinder stuff is like the basis foundation for Starfinder. So I figured why not grab all that too, you know? I really enjoy me some Humble Bundle. Once in a while, I'll snag up something on there that looks like a good deal. Beautiful map, though. Really well done. Wait, why am I looking at my maps? Let's look at and open up somebody else's. This one's also very cool, the Owlbear Cave. Interesting stuff here. Sort by recent. Oh, by new. By the way, the Steam Workshop integration is available to anyone who owns a full copy of Dungeon Alchemist. So you can, at any time, access the repository of over 10,000 maps and almost 7,000 3D models. The 3D models are more of a sort of, gosh, all the maps are part of the damn challenge. I can't open them. Let's see here. That one's a damn challenge. So I can't look at the damn challenge maps preemptively because I don't like to show bias, and I don't like to share them on the stream because again, that shows bias. Let's look at another Feywild encounter, shall we? So the damn challenge is like a map making contest we host on our Discord and our stream platforms. It's essentially just a for fun map making contest that's up every 2 weeks, and the current theme is 9x6, so you have to make a map that's 9 by 6 squares or less, and that's like an 8.5 by 11 size map in the US, by the way, and that is essentially a very simple map, but I've seen some very cool entries in that. But the problem is if I open it now before we do the stream on Saturday where we're showcasing the entries and the winner, it just seems like I'm giving someone an unfair advantage. So I do my best not to discuss it before and or showcase those maps on stream. But if you're interested in entering, there's still time. You have between now and the end of day in your time zone on the 29th. So midnight in your time zone on the 29th. So basically, you make a map that is 9x6 or less. And using, you can do whatever you want on it. And if your map's the winning map, you win a $10 Hero Forge gift card. Your map is the first map featured. And you're promptly featured in our next newsletter. Honestly, I haven't made a judgment yet. I don't like to make a judgment or an early assessment until all the entries are in. So I usually sit down after midnight in my time zone because I'm the last one. And I'll pick a winner, or early that morning I pick a winner. So it's really never decided beforehand. I will say this though, there is one thing that everyone should know, and it's not really listed in the rules. It's more like a judge rule than a, this is beautiful by the way. Very cool. It's more of a judge rule for me, is I never let the same person win twice. I do that as a way to allow people to feel like, you know, they have a better chance to compete against someone who may be on a hot streak or something. I'm finally looking into Vaesen, which I support on Kickstarter. Have an inkling of running a one-shot. My D&D player's not convinced I'm up to learning a new system. Honestly, Francis, it is daunting sometimes to jump into a new system, but the only reason I'm willing to learn Starfinder is because I'm so interested. You know what I mean? I gotta say, I'm very happy with the progress you guys are making on DA. All new features coming have me excited. Thank you for the kind words, Consummate Nerd. I appreciate it. Happy pre-Turkey Day. What are you cooking up, or just hot maps? I'm just showcasing cool maps at the moment, but we could start a fun build, like maybe a little a Turkey Day bash, something like that. How you doing, Metal Man? And also, happy pre-Turkey to you, my friend. So minis in DA can be used for a lot of things, okay? First and foremost, it's a great way to kind of gauge the spatial layout of a map. Getting into it in first person, you can see the map from this scale and realize, okay, I take up a 5-foot space. This map actually is kind of big if you look at it from that perspective, right? And distance and how combat might work. This is great for gauging indoor spaces as well. So gauging the actual space and seeing what it might be like for your players, one reason. The other is content. You can capture first-person screenshots or video, as well as cinematic shots and video using the cinematic drone camera. These pair nicely. These can be used as handouts, flyovers. Maybe one of your players can fly or has a familiar that can fly and they like to scout areas out in advance out of habit. You can give them a little handout video of a flyover. Chase scenes, cut scenes, long rests, etc. Sasquatch, we're showcasing maps, but we're answering questions in real time. If anyone has questions, AMA, feedback, etc. So I have a notebook here if anyone has any feedback or suggestions for myself or the devs around Dungeon Alchemist development. I am just looking at maps and showcasing the beauty in Dungeon Alchemist for anyone who may be interested in it due to the sale, because it's currently on sale at 20% off. So I'm just letting anyone know what it's about and what you get when you are, you know, investing in it. Also just trying to be available as the community manager for people today, because earlier I was supposed to stream an office hours stream in Discord and was not. So Cosmic, the tokens can be placed in maps for export as like just a simple backdrop NPC that, you know, they can maybe interact with, but it's not something that's going to move or leave the area. You don't really need a token for it per se in a virtual tabletop. The token space as well. I've played on a couple of tables where the DM streams this first-person view to the players over like Discord or Skype or Zoom or whatever, and they'll follow along with what the players are doing. And so the players are in this top-down mode, right? And wherever the players go, they'll kind of follow behind them every minute or so. They'll make the token catch up, right? And then they, as the players, can be like, oh, can you take a closer look at this tree idol thing? I'd love to investigate that. What's that all about? And it gives them a way to kind of peer through their own player character's eyes, which is actually very unique and fun. It's very exciting. And it's very, very good way to cater to players who may not have the best mind's eye. Like, they may not be able to kind of visualize things in their mind, and this way allows them to do so more easily. It increases their interactivity and RP, but also gives you a fun new way to interact with your players. And honestly, they start surprising you with the ways they want to interact with the environment when they can see it in a first-person mode. Thrash Metal Man, that's something we're currently working on. Hey Sasquatch, thank you for the kind words. Sasquatch's feedback, I love DA and recommend to all living beings. Thank you. So for those watching who may be interested in Dungeon Alchemist, you're sitting on the fence, you're checking it out because of the sale. We're streaming on multiple platforms right now, but we do have a lot of people who are, you know, longtime users of Dungeon Alchemist, been supporting us since our Kickstarter days. And there's people who've been here for, you know, a year or two now, just who purchased it on Steam after the fact. If any of you wouldn't mind sharing your feedback on Dungeon Alchemist as, you know, regular and long-term users, I would very much appreciate it in any chat that you're in. Um, I varied platforms have varied interaction right now, but I would just very much appreciate it if any of you watching that have used DA maybe give like a, you know, a sentence or two, just feedback on what you think about it, what you like about it, pros and cons, you know, and whether or not you think it's worth it to someone who may want to invest in it now, especially now that we are so far into our early access development and we're nearing our next update, which it looks like the devs are kind of aiming February of this next year. But I've been saying Q1 2025 because I like to be cautiously optimistic. The thing is this next update will support many new things, including multi-level. Another thing is object interaction and object UI and improvement around objects itself. So they're working on a few new tools and features for objects, but also I've heard that things like being able to rotate an object on any axes or mirror it is something they're considering and potentially working on. It's not that they don't want to do it, it's that it's kind of hard to develop in the current system within Dungeon Alchemist, and there may be trade-offs to get it. So one thing is if you rotate an object, or like if you take an object and you raise it, which, by the way, I'll teach you how to do that right now. In Dungeon Alchemist, if you disable collisions, it unlocks a lot of secondary behaviors. So the main behavior is you can now merge objects kind of close to each other. So like objects that would normally fight with each other can now merge together, right? They can kind of combined object, if you will. Secondly, objects can be scaled far above and below their normal constraints if the collisions are off. The only exception being objects that are just locked to begin with and they can't be scaled. Last, it allows you to raise objects up and down on their z-axes, on the z-axis. So we're hoping to expand upon this, but when you raise an object on its z-axis, prior to this, you can, like, it has a collider on its top, right? You can stack stuff on top of it. But if you raise an object up on its z-axis, there's no longer a collider. Oh, I guess it still does. Weird. I thought they ruined that. So it would ruin the colliders before. I guess in some objects it gets rid of them and some it doesn't. But from my understanding is if they unlock the ability to rotate it on like a 360 degree any direction, it will in fact ruin the collider on it, so you can't stack anything on it. Rob Wars, you know, I gotta say, are you the Rob Wars here, this Fey Mushroom House? Same Rob Wars? Super relaxing to make maps, says Consummate Nerd. I've been playing with it for a month or two as a new DM, and honestly, I've just had so much fun playing around and fleshing out maps. It's just so fun to build maps, says Thrash Metal Man. Let's see here. I purchased 2 other VTTs 2 years in, not much change, terrible new assets, no scaling, no FPS features, views. You can program things to be in it. So, what, can I ask which map makers you're talking about, Consummate Nerd? I'd like to know, like, and I don't really call them competition, I call them, complementary. Because a lot of times you need several different tools to make all the varied maps you need, like a regional world map, you know, encounter maps, area maps, etc. Barb Grossa, thank you so much for the kind words. I love how easy it is to create anything in just a few clicks. It is very true. You can make a lot of big maps really quickly. Foundry integration is amazing too, from Thrash Metal Man. Yes, it is. Being able to integrate a map directly with Foundry, with line of sight, lighting, walls, windows, doors, very valuable. Troutfoot. Love the dam better than any other map making tools I own. The others are worthwhile, but I could only have one. It would be this. Okay, where's that? You're funny, dude. Okay, I'm so excited for multi-level builds. That makes sense about the rotation thing. I am Rob. Rob, first off, thank you for sharing such beautiful maps on the workshop. I really appreciate your work. In fact, so much so that I featured your map in our weekly newsletter. I just thought it was such an amazing, fantastic build. So thank you so much. And I just wanted to say, I really do appreciate your work, and I think our community as a whole is better for it because you're sharing these amazing maps for everyone. So thank you. Let's see here. In fact, let's open it up while you're here so you can tell us about it. I want to know a little bit more about this. So USMC Ninja says, quick to learn UI, assets can be high res and more realistic looking than some other tools, so can elicit actual emotional responses from players. Maps and assets can look creepy, palatial, gory, etc. Hero Forge integration, large and ever growing library of maps and assets, so you probably never really need to make maps. True. You know, Tailspire, all the time we get people asking us for when our maps will integrate with Tailspire. I've never played with Tailspire, so I don't know offhand like how it works, but I've watched some videos, and I from what I understand is what makes us really stand out compared to them is that our terrain is much more like versatile, I think, in that regard. And I think the AI generation and the tools we offer a little bit more speed, but then they offer the ability to play inside their maps, which is so cool. So like, props to them on that. They have dice rolling, the ability to play within the map. They also offer Hero Forge integration as well. So I honestly, like I say, I never see other companies as competition, more complementary. You've asked for first person? Honestly, DA is the fastest map making tool I own, and I think I have most, if not all of them. Well, thank you, USMC Ninja, for the kind words. Hero Forge integration is a big plus. I would like to point out, though, you don't need to rely on Hero Forge to get tokens. You can get tokens through the asset browser, which there is a section just dedicated to tokens. And last I checked, so 161 for NPCs, 344, so we're up to over 500 with just those two, with monsters and NPCs. And characters, so we're up over 600 total tokens. Of course, they vary in quality, simplicity, and actual aesthetic. Like, here's a tank, okay? Some of them will be in completely different aesthetics or themes. You know, others are completely normal in the, you know, setting of like a fantasy. I really love when there's STL tokens. STL tokens are flat gray. STL is a type of 3D model file type. Our asset importer supports three and a half different file types: STL, FBX, and GLTF/GLB. STLs are primarily used for like 3D printing and stuff, but in this space they kind of look like a nice flat gray token that hasn't been painted. And then you can also choose like different just simple colors for them, so you maybe apply a status to them or a bunch of a similar mob and give them all different colors so they are different and easy to stand out and understand which one's which. Anyway, overall, the token options through the workshop and the ability to import 3D models using the asset importer gives you pretty much endless token options. You can either source them online, make them yourself, or, you know, use Hero Forge or the assortment of tokens we offer you. Anyway. Right? I hardly ever paint my minis. But honestly, the workshop essentially doubles your asset collection. Now, I wouldn't recommend going and downloading every asset on the workshop because some of them are poorly optimized. Some are animated and they're huge. You know, like that token I just downloaded was a really simple token. It was only 40 megabytes though. Okay, this gate here is 1 megabyte and it's animated. This guy here, 13 megabytes. So some of them are kind of very super hyper, you know, optimized, while others are mid optimization. In fact, I typically recommend staying away from assets that are over 25 megabytes because they begin bogging down your DA. DA is designed to run on really optimized assets. So while it's great to have this candy store of free stuff, keep in mind the more you download, you're more than likely going to start bogging down your system. And if DA starts running really slow as a result of being subscribed to like several thousand assets, unsubscribing from them is the way to fix it. Lucky Legs Luke says, I love Dungeon Alchemist, but it kills my laptop with the specs. It needs to work. You know, unfortunately, Dungeon Alchemist is a bit of a heavy-duty program, and it's mainly because it's real-time 3D rendering in an active environment. It's a real-time 3D render engine versus, say, a video game that is a pre-rendered environment where it's optimized and each level is a slice of the overall game. So Dungeon Alchemist essentially renders everything in view at all times. So some things that can help you optimize your performance in Dungeon Alchemist if you're struggling: try smaller maps. So try a map, you know, try and figure out that sweet spot for where you can make maps before it gets arguably unbearable for you, Lucky Leg Luke. You know, try 20 by 20, try 30 by 30, try 40 by 40, a little bit at a time. Next, in settings, you have the option to adjust quality. You can run on low. You can adjust your screen resolution to be a lower resolution, which also optimizes performance. Lastly, you can go into the View tab and you can hide or disable natural animations. A lot of plants and like water and stuff sway in the environment, and that will disable that, saving you a few frames, squeezes a few out. Another thing, like effects on this map, these are going to definitely be a huge burden. Particle effects will be. So maybe try to avoid putting them on your map until the very end. So maybe have a version of your map without effects, file, save as, and then add effects, and then just have one with and one without. So you can get into that one if you need to make quick adjustments, but you have one without it if you need it. All of these things can help you squeeze a little bit more performance out of your existing laptop. At the end of the day, though, Dungeon Alchemist will get more optimized as we go and we get closer to leaving early access. As we grow through our development, you know, things will get better. Almost every update, the AI gets optimized. The overall, you know, environment gets optimized. A lot of older assets get depreciated and improved. So we're in a constant state of improvement. One thing I know that they could do that would definitely help improve Dungeon Alchemist performance is Dungeon Alchemist only uses a single core right now. So, like, if we allowed for, like, hyper-threading or multi-core use, it would definitely improve performance. But yeah, 3D VTTs are very resource-heavy. And Lucky, I'm sorry I don't have much better options. You know, one thing, another pro tip, stay zoomed in as far as you can on the map while you're building. Because it uses essentially flashlight rendering, everything that's visible on the map, your computer has to render. So if you're looking at the overall map, maybe only do it once in a while. Keep kind of focused in the areas you're building while you're building them. Does that make sense? So there are a few cloud assets we have that are just kind of basic. And these can be pretty much placed at any height as long as you have collisions off. So you could kind of raise these up, you know, up to a certain height. Kind of static, simple. There are some clouds on the workshop as well. There is like a cloud, you know, like an animated flying cloud. It's hard to see, but it is actually here, I promise. I hope at some point we add multi-core optimization. I don't know, you know, when or if we will, but you know what I mean? You can add some clouds this way. Another kind of pro tip, this is kind of working within the things you can do in Dungeon Alchemist. Honestly, this is a fun kind of neat workaround. So we have these neat objects called abstracts. I don't know if you've ever noticed them in the object menu. You click objects and they're down here at the bottom. These are kind of like programmable objects that you can plug information into to use them how you see fit. So they're blank kind of slates, right? You can insert or change the color of them to just use them as like a blank backdrop. You can also download templates for them on our website, which help you understand how to edit them and the space available on them. Those templates are available by clicking this icon, but the most important thing about this is you can insert images into it. So, for instance, this map, I'll just insert an image of this map right there, right? Another thing that, you know, is kind of cool with this is you can insert blank PNGs into it. Now, all of a sudden, it's invisible. Okay, now remember this for a moment. I now have an invisible platform that I can raise and lower. What I'm going to do is put some like wispy white fog kind of here. It's kind of purple on this map because the lighting. Change the time of day, that ought to help. Now we'll go back to the object panel. It's the wrong one. I gotta find it. Where is it? Where is it? I lost it. No, I might have sunken it too far. Shoot, hold on one second. Let me do this while it's still got something on it and it's easy to see. This makes it a lot easier, just trust me. And then I'll change it invisible after. So you could put the fog on top of like a platform, right? Like this. Then you can raise the platform and it will raise the effect that's on top of it. And then lastly, make it invisible. So this is kind of a weird workaround, but it allows you to raise the effects off of the ground. So there's two ways. You can either do cloud objects that can be raised, or you can raise the effect off the ground. Now watch what happens when I change the time of day. This cloud is now way up there. I can raise it up, continually raising it up. It also casts shade, it looks like. But effects are very resource heavy. They, you start losing frames. I'm just a little rain cloud. Okay, isn't that cool though? Go ahead and suggest a feature, Consummate. Let me know what it is, and if it's not something that's already on our roadmap or on the suggestion board that we already have. By the way, we do have an active suggestion board and roadmap website where you can follow along with our active roadmap and make suggestions that can be voted on and commented on. It's called Upvoty. Let me see if I can get the link for that. I'll drop it over on YouTube. The YouTube. Let's see here. Technically, the image is two-sided. It's on both sides. But in order to do something that's one-sided is empty and the other side is like an image, you would probably have to do a 3D object. And we do have an update dedicated to traps on the map called Tricks and Traps. So I don't know when that'll be slated for release, but our next update's called Fun with Objects. After Fun with Objects, we have 4 remaining updates in no particular order. We have, Tricks and Traps, Water Worlds, High Seas, and Instant Dungeons are what remain. So this here is a skybox that was shared on the workshop by one of our very prolific sharers and moderators. His name is Asmodeus. You may know him on the workshop as Dallas RT. This is a one-way skybox. It's essentially like a one-way mirror where you can see the skybox when you're inside of it or at the right angle, but on the outside it's see-through. Honestly, this trips me out a little bit because it feels like a fourth dimensional observer. No, you're fine. You can keep saying stuff, but do keep in mind that traps and tricks in general, like animated stuff and probably like drops and pitfalls and saws and spikes and stuff like that are likely on our roadmap at some point. In fact, I hope, this is personal preference, that we integrate some sort of tile creation tool so you could take any of our animated objects or traps and make them into a tile that could then be placed on your maps in like Foundry or Tabletop Simulator or Fantasy Grounds. There is a rolling giant stone on the workshop, my man. You honestly should spend some time on there looking at the current traps. There's quite a few. Rolling boulder, spike log, trip rope, spike traps, buzzsaw. Oh, so many, but the rolling boulder, pretty cool. It actually rolls. And then it resets. Right? Isn't that great? But yeah, USMC Ninja, the abstract objects, what you want to do is you can insert a blank PNG into them and it'll work. If you need a blank PNG, just DM me on Discord and I'll send you one. There might actually be one saved in the community assets channel as well, but it kind of might be hard to find. But essentially, you just insert like a 1 pixel or a no pixel PNG into this and it becomes invisible. This is how we used to raise objects up before you could raise them and make it invisible. So there was a lot of ways to hide objects or raise objects up before Dungeon Alchemist allowed you to raise them. This cube, what we'd do is we'd stack it up, a bunch of them, or make it as big as we could. And then we'd put like a token on it, right? If you wanted like a flying token, for instance. And then we'd make the cube massive. And then we'd make it invisible. And that would be like how we'd have a floating object at one point before you could raise objects. Because our community would always come up with weird ways. Anyway. You know, I'm a little surprised, and I don't mean to call Steam out on this, but considering the sale right now, it's surprising that no one has asked any questions in chat today. So, Rob, are you still present by chance? This map, I just gotta say, absolutely stunning piece of work. Great lighting, great contrast of color, great design. I know I kind of praised you earlier, but just thank you for sharing it. If you are still here, I'd love to know what's the story behind this map. I mean, that could work too. You could do a cloud image of a PNG and just insert that into it and raise that up because it'd have some see-through parts and it would just be like a wispy cloud, right? Oh, my office is a little hot. I'm gonna open the door. Should have asked them earlier. I feel bad, but we rolled over the map and I started answering questions and got a little sidetracked. Questions always come first, so that's how it is. I always like making sure anyone's questions get addressed. If you have concerns, feedback, need for, general support, I'm here to guide you. Let's take a look at this. Looks interesting. Got some good lighting. I am actually very excited for tomorrow. So my family's been doing this thing the last few years where we don't actually do a turkey on Thanksgiving. We've kind of been turkeyed out, you know what I mean? So we're a small family of 3, and eating a whole turkey as our family, it's like daunting. Even with a small turkey, it takes us like a week to clean it all out, just get all of it. And it is exhausting and you get bored of turkey by the time you're done. So we decided, like last year we did a ham. This year we're gonna do chicken, just like a full-size chicken. Honestly, it's kind of weird, but to do a different bird, but we just are been kind of having fun with it, trying something different every year, and I think next year we're gonna do game hens. Like this. The moon is great right over the castle. That's awesome. Before being in a content crunch, what do you mean? Like getting ready before a campaign or something? I like how this guy just has like a little keg on his side. Oh. That would be... Oof. Like, unless they're sending something through, like a familiar or like an arcane eye or something first, they are risking themselves there. What if they go to the other side and it's like a vacuum of space, or it's in a hostile environment inside of like an enemy castle, or, you know, any number of things. You know, go big or go home, right, Troutfoot? Should I make some of those brain rot videos where it's like a mind character person just jumping around and then it tells a story on the other side? That's what I'll do the whole stream, is just this, jump around in the map. So, like, I don't know. I played on tables where the DMs, like, some players say I'm too cautious, and the DM kind of gets bored of me because I'm, like, I'm always asking questions, or, like, trying to survey the environment, or, like, oh, I, like, feel like this isn't safe. There's always that player in the group that's like, I'm just gonna pick up this thing. I don't know if it's cursed or not. I don't care. I'll eat this mushroom. I'll sniff this thing. I'll open this trap. But I'm the opposite. I'm like really cautious, mainly because I usually am like a squishy character that like doesn't have a lot of HP or like armor. So I'm always like a little bit more like worrisome of that. Oh, you're back to Turkey this year? I'm sure will eventually double back to Turkey at some point. But yeah, I want to just change it up. Like, ham last year was so good, and honestly, we cleared out the ham we had in like 2.5, 3 days, and it was like perfect. I don't know. It's just nice to mix it up once in a while. But that's smart there, Thrash Metal. Yeah, we'll probably want to go back to Turkey at some point, so that makes sense. Let's take a look at this in top down, see what we got in this castle. Kind of the whole vibe. Very cool. Looks like a very kind of private castle, like a chateau. Not necessarily like a big, you know, massive place. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. He was wearing full plate, so probably weighed a ton, right? Did he break anything on the fall damage? By the way, are you watching the new season of Oak Island? Was filled with water, he just sank. You can't doff your armor quick enough, my friend. I'm sorry, you're going to the bottom. Did he die? Tell me the rest. I need to know. You can't just tell me that much and leave me on the hook. Oh, that's great. I love that. That looks good. Some salt and various like assorted seasonings for the meat. But what I was talking about is the new season of Oak Island. I've been watching it pretty much diligently since it was launched. New season now or whatever. I think they've only done like 2 or 3 episodes, but yeah, I've been enjoying it. Nice. Very very rustic. Why are there potions hiding out here, I wonder? Honestly, I mean, I feel like, it's in their best interest as a network and a show to not find the treasure, right? Because they can just draw it out for seasons and seasons, years and years. But the community is kind of getting to that point. People have been watching for years are kind of getting irritated that they haven't found it. They're losing interest or losing faith, so to speak. I feel like I've been watching it diligently since like the 3rd season was airing. And like I kind of joke about the things they say and do sometimes. Oh, I really like that right there. And like I just have a laugh at it because I do feel like at times they either like are aware there's no longer a treasure there, or they're kind of aware where it is and they're avoiding it intentionally. Yeah, basically the real treasure is the friends they made along the way. But the thing is the show is good. It's one of the better shows on the History Channel because it actually features history. They go to a lot of historical locations and research a lot of varied historical information, not to mention finding lots of historical artifacts on their sites, on their island that are their dig sites and whatnot that are changing essentially the course of North American history. I mean, in the last season they found Roman coins on the island, which is crazy. Obviously that could have been brought in there from like a Viking or any number of groups over the years. Coins travel for a long time and last a long time, but it also kind of leans to the fact that it might have been part of a treasure at one point. And they have found all sorts of historical artifacts that they can date and place. Whoa, I like super bounce just now. So a few seasons ago, just for those that aren't aware, the lead cross is, I think, one of the coolest artifacts they found. And it is a really old lead cross that is dated to the 14th, 15th century. And it was found on the beaches at Oak Island. And the lead in it was sourced to a mine in France. So they know exactly where the lead came from. Unless they had a cap of water breathing or something to keep them, down there indefinitely, or something to allow them to walk on, ring of water walking or something like that. Yeah, or allow them to swim while wearing plate, then they would definitely be SOL. So it seems like at the end of the day, they got rescued. That's nice that the rogues saved them. Usually the rogues I know would be too edgy to save anyone. They'd be like, my character wouldn't do this. Shit, that stuff drives me crazy. Load up a new map here. He's a 2nd level dwarven artificer. What type of Oh, if he's 2nd level, then he didn't have a subclass, but was in plate? Dang. Oh, yeah, because they're a dwarf. They can wear... Yep, okay, got it. Aren't there some subclasses of artificer that's, kind of negate, the weight of plate, or, you don't need a strength stat to wear plate? Like the armorer artificer does that, I believe. And there's an infusion you can get that like essentially does something to that degree. He was in legit trouble. Well, that was really nice of the rogue to save him. Here we have an owlbear cave, which I think that's, you know, very suiting here. Or any type of really animal. I mean, you could get rid of the nest and it could be a spider cave if you want. Adding some spider, you know, flair to this wouldn't take too long. In fact, you could do it under the nature. Oh, wait. Or we had webs under here. Am I crazy? Yes, cobwebs. Down in the nature tab. Okay. And then you can make the brush, you know, large and spin some webs around in here really quickly. Turn up the density and it really packs it in there. Like in a can. Every inch of it has webs now. Doesn't take too long to add webs. I'll humor you sometimes, Troutfoot. Scale mail still weighs a lot. Like, I mean, especially at L2. You know what I mean? But like, for instance, if he takes the armorer artificer, you can wear plate mail without worrying about the strength stat. And it's because it's like, you know, magical. And it can't be removed from them willingly. They can don it and doff it with an action. So, like, and they can remove the helmet like Iron Man as an action. And the armor can be changed on a long or short rest between the two types. It's like armorer and infiltrator. The infiltrator one, it gets advantage on stealth checks, where if you're wearing plate, you get disadvantage, so it cancels it out, so you're just normal rolls for stealth, which is nice, wearing plate. Kind of funny, comically funny if you think about it. It's like a cartoon. And then the other thing is, like the defender build, you can give yourself temporary hit points. Yeah, I don't know. They're both really good. You could flip back and forth between them, and it really allows for a lot of versatility with plate armor. It's nuts. I had adamantine plate as an armored artificer, and I was ridiculous. Because I was able to infuse it as +1 armor, because adamantine is technically not a magical item. Yeah, the web brush is actually a stock feature that's available right now. If you go to objects right here, you have the object brush in here, and you have a bunch of different options that you can choose between. You can even erase objects just as quickly as you can paint them with the object eraser. So you can get in there with some spider webs, set the brush size, set it to be like random scaling, scale average, rotation. So if it adds more rotation, it seems more like more vibrant and real, right? And that takes me, you know, 10 seconds or less to put some spider webs in here and call it a day. I don't know about 2024 5e. I just know in the game I was playing in 2014 5e, that was the case. So I don't know. They don't have artificers in 2024. They don't have their new class in there yet. And they're, you know, so unless the DM allows you to play an old class in the new build, which you got to adjust it and make changes for it, right? Because like aren't like the way classes function in the new 2024 rules like sort of different. But yeah, so I had plate adamantine, +1 plate adamantine, so I couldn't get critted, right? And it was, I think it was 19 or something, or whatever, AC, so I couldn't get 20s or 19 or below. And then I also had a +2 shield. I was ridiculously hard to hit with that character. I also had the shield spell, and in my downtime, I would take and make shield scrolls, like any chance I could. I was quite devious. I like this map a lot, but I think it could work it as a lair for any number of creatures really quickly. You could make this a kobold lair. The owlbear cave works great. Spider cave. What else do you think could work in here? You know, I got to get more familiar with 2024 5e. I've got both the PHB and the DMG, but I mostly just flipped through them. I haven't done a deep dive. One thing I was reading into recently, though, because it was brought up by one of our community members, was a new feature in the DMG called Bastions. Have any of you read up on those at all? Or looked into them or seen anything about that? Bastions are very cool looking. It's essentially a base building mechanic for your players that they can start at level 5, and it has a sort of like set of different things that they can add on to the base. Some are free, some cost, and each of them add benefits to the character, like that might be passive, or you know, things that they could do to train and make them have like 7-day benefits and stuff. Honestly, I just was like really interested to dive into it, but mine were a gift. I was gifted the digital and physical copies by a close friend, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say no to that. And I've been kind of reading through them. So the, 2014 5e seemed like base building was like an afterthought. They just showed some things you could like buy. And you're like, yeah, you could have hirelings and a few different things, figure it out. Now they organize and say, this comes with hirelings, they're paid and taken care of, and their lodging's good. And it's like, oh, these are all the different add-ons you can get. But a group of like 4 to 6 players could make a really cool group bastion that has tons of features in it that benefit their group as a whole. So you can have like a library and have a hireling there that studies and looks up lore on information on objects that, or on characters that you may not, know or be able to find yourself. Alternatively, you can get like a portal in your bastion, a teleporter that it's like a teleportation circle, and you can link it to other teleportation circles that you know of, as long as you know the runes and the configuration for them. But you can also summon a caster to it like once a week and ask them to cast a spell for you, like on the spot, and they'll do it. Like there's all these random things that bastions give you that are really, really cool. I'm kind of interested in them in that regard, but at the same time, like I understand it's like long-term play. They start at 5, and I think you get an upgrade at 9, and then there's all the way up to 17 you get upgrades. But man, you can get like a menagerie and a trophy room, so you could put up like trophies of like baddies you killed, their heads or horns or teeth, trinkets you've collected, cool magical items. You could trap animals and put them in your menagerie and keep them as pets and train them, and they can defend your base. The Bastion has a chance to get attacked. So every 7 days you do a Bastion turn. And the Bastion turn, you have an action that you can choose. The action, the base one is called Maintain. And if you do Maintain, that's usually what happens when you're not there. If you can't communicate with them to tell them to do something else, that's what they'll do. And Maintain has a chance to be attacked, but you can have like defenders and stuff like that. And your base can get attacked, and potentially you... I don't understand. Things can get broken and get shut down temporarily, but they come back later. So it is an interesting kind of like base building and mini game, downtime mechanic. And it expands the functionality of what your player can do in downtime too, because they could have like a workshop where people are crafting for them. They could have an actual store where they store items and sell them. They could have a pub that they use to gather intel and just sell like cool drinks. I think the pub has these magical drinks that you can get and have different ones on tap. You only have one on tap at first, but when you drink it, it gives you like all these benefits for like 24 hours or a few days or something. Very impressed by the overall like scope of Bastions, and I'm excited to try and integrate it in one of my campaigns. Keep it family friendly, Troutfoot. I know you're being silly, man. I know. But I love just remember the stream is our community is like, you know, E for everyone. We try to at least be that. Like I even myself, like I get, you know, like I'm not allowed to do certain things, and you know, like earlier I kind of slipped and swore and I was like, "Oh shoot, I'm sorry." You know, like I try to be very very family friendly on the stream if I can. And that's nothing against you personally or anything like that. It's just, you know how it is. We got people in here who, you know, maybe be young DMs or families looking to play together and check out, you know, DA and stuff like that. I honestly, dude, I get it. It's easy when you're having fun chatting. We're all like joking around and riffing here and enjoying each other's company and you know, saying silly stuff to get the community to just like interact with each other and whatnot. I get it. Just got to be careful sometimes is all. But thank you for understanding and being chill about it. This is the map of all time. I actually made this map some time ago. Not to toot my own horn, but it's one of my favorite maps. Mainly just because I'm a big fan of caves and like tunnels and... You didn't steal anything, my friend. You used it by someone who shared it willingly. You can't steal or pirate what's given willingly. So I hope you and your players enjoyed it. Honestly, I've stumbled into a couple of streams where people were using my map and it was just so happy for me. Like I'd be like, hey, I recognize that. It made my day for sure. Yeah. It's always fun. But yeah, no, like, I would never take offense to anyone using my maps or assets on the workshop. That's part of the reason I shared them. You know what I mean? Like, they're put up there for y'all to use and make adjustments if you need. Oh, they ran by it? Sad day. Do they know it exists? Or they just ran by a cave and they're like, oh, we'll check that out later. Made my token too big to get through the crevice. Just blew up my token. It's gone. Did you see that? I sent it to another realm. That was quite strange. See if we can do that again. Oh, it didn't work that time. Weird. is a lich there, or is that just a rumor? Because that seems like a great rumor to keep people out if you're like a group of bandits or a cult or, you know. Got lost in my own tunnel. Gotcha. So they'll come back for another time when they're a lot tougher, I'm assuming. So the thing about the dam challenge, okay, is there's obviously the rules for entering the dam challenge, right, Troutfoot? And I know this is kind of where you got blindsided before, is there's the server rules too. So the server has its own rules, the Discord server itself, that are, you know, there's like 10 rules for the server that, you know, our lead developer posted some time ago. Those need to be adhered to at all times while you're in the server. Then there's the actual contest rules. So just kind of like recall that as you're doing it. Now, keep in mind, there's blood and gore in the workshop, and to a degree in DA. We literally have blood rivers, so it's kind of hypocritical of us to get on that case, per se. But if it's something, you know, that looks like it's out of a straight horror film, I might have to refrain from sharing it on stream. You know, if it looks like a Saw film or something from, you know... Anyway, long story short, like, at the end of the day, I understand there are some things in DA that are, like, fantasy-based. There's blood, there's some gore, there's some, you know, skeletons. There's things that are death and detritus and wear, so it's like, I can't be 100%, you know, family-friendly in that regard. I gotta work with what I got, but yeah. If you want to send me an image of, like, a screenshot of the areas you're concerned about, Troutfoot, like a DM, I will take a look. So, well, that's the other thing about spiders. Like, here's the thing, man. Like, I don't really mind them, per se. Like, I obviously don't really like them. You know, I wouldn't want one crawling on me. But there are people out there that have a serious phobias of them. And, like, I mean, like, if you've played in, like, I don't know if you're familiar with, like, no-go lists. There's, like, you know, like, at a session 0, a DM will usually put out a list of, like, things you're okay with in the campaign, things you're not okay with, so those themes don't get brought up during the campaign. Does that make sense? More than likely. So, like, I was in a campaign once, it was a 3-shot, actually, not a campaign, and one of the players had a phobia of spiders, and this was the first time I had ever considered that. And there's actually games out there, like Grounded, for instance, is a survival game where you play as shrunken kids living in a backyard, and there's like ants and bugs and spiders. They have a mode where they hide like the legs and eyes so it's easier for them to play. So it's like, if companies like can go out of their way to be accessible for people, I can go out of my way to warn people and just let them know, hey, we're going to show a spider on the stream for a minute. You know, yeah, that spider one is a little scary, and we're probably not going to be able to show that one on stream without a warning, at least, for instance. But at the same time, you know, I gotta be reasonable. But, like, in a fantasy setting, there are some things that can be kind of scary and, like, can be a little bit unsettling to people. So at the end of the day, I always will try to warn. I mean, you know, Dungeon Alchemist has, like, these weird flesh assets. They're definitely unsettling and strange. You know, we're not, like... You know, this isn't perfect by any means. This is some weird nightmare version of a Sarlacc pit, okay? This table that is made from human flesh, arguably concerning and strange, right? The chest that is a mouth, I don't even want to talk about it. There's some disturbingly weird, macabre stuff in DA, right? But Troutfoot, just so you know, like, I'm not going to get on your case about that, per se. There are some things, though, that are definitely, like, hard lines in the server. This thing is very unsettling. I don't like it. It is creepy. But it is a cool asset, nonetheless. Y'all want to know a trick to making it bigger? The observer, to making it larger. So it has to attach to a wall normally unless collisions are disabled, right? So we have walls that... Let's see. Snap! No, it won't snap to the wall. I may have failed. Darn. Well, this works with other assets, so let me show you. So most assets that can snap to a wall can be resized, but I think that one's too big. It needs 2 pieces of wall. So like lights, for instance, like a torch lamp, like a wall torch. Sorry, I'm like clicking in all the wrong places here. Say you wanted to make it like a huge wall torch. If you resize it on the wall, it actually keeps it large. Keep in mind, though, if you resize it again, it will then lose that size. If you even make it the littlest bit, it'll like try to reset. So essentially, you know, with collisions off, you can move this around, sink it into a wall, have like a huge giant sconce on the wall. So there are ways to resize objects that fit on a wall to a degree. Hey, Gem Knight, what you been up to, man? Happy holidays to yourself. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, my friend. Too much gold, Rev? Nah. This was meant to be a dragon's lair, so it's just the right amount. So I made this map. I'm the original creator of this map, and it's on the workshop. And this is made as a large kind of series of potential... It's a side quest that can unfold into a massive... not too much, so much. Got you, right? Yeah, it's just the right amount, right? But basically, the point of this was there would be a trigger for a side quest that really derails the campaign for a while, but it ends up being very rewarding and opens up new avenues for them. So what I did was, this is a mine that is ran by a family of dwarves, bunch of brothers, and their family has been mining this claim for generations, okay? So I like to think that not all dwarves are strictly part of a kingdom, and they may branch out and have their own businesses and have their own mining companies where they invest time and money into finding deep mountains with like big veins of ore that they could even sell the claim to, say, a king or royalty, or keep it for themselves and become their own king, you know, because they have their own massive mountain full of ore and gems and whatever. So this particular mine is ran by a group of 7 dwarves, dwarven brothers, and they were due back in town. They live in a kind of, or they live in like a cottage, and they were due back in town for supplies, and they were going to bring back their hoard of gems and gold to sell to a jeweler who then, you know, cleans it and turns it into whatever. That, or they store it and then keep it for a rainy day. And their wife is very concerned. So I was going with like a Snow White and the 7 Dwarves type thing, as she hasn't seen them in months and is worried about them because they usually come down every 6 weeks to get more supplies. And so she's begging for anyone to go check on them and see what's going on. She can't go check on them. So this is where the side quest comes into play. You meet this woman, distraught woman in a city square, begging anyone who passes. And if the players take the quest, it leads gives them a map, and the map basically is leads to the claim site, which they try to keep secret because they don't want a lot of people encroaching on their claim. And so it's kind of a family, you know, heirloom, secret, whatever. So not only do you know the secret side of this big mine, you are tasked with finding the brothers inside and, you know, figuring out what's going on. So you show up to this place and, you know, you go into the mine right off the bat. You enter their kind of campsite for, you know, at least a couple of brothers and a quartermaster's area where they have supplies and they can ferry carts in and out with supplies and out with dirt and gems, right? So they can clear out space. Already off the bat, things aren't a great sign. There's food left out, cooking, burnt, things left out like it was, you know, like they were preparing a meal and then disappeared. There's also a grave site right next to the main camp. So if they do investigations, they'll learn right away that something's amiss. It's a little bit of intrigue, okay? They can investigate further. Now, the mine, you could have it be overrun, and that's part of the reason. In my particular instance, I didn't want any major encounters except for one. Well, like one being that some kobolds had come inside and started checking this place out because they realized there'd been no activity for a while, and maybe they'd been monitoring it. But despite that, there are several encounters throughout the mine that are treacherous. Okay, so moving on. Back here, another area to investigate. The players can, you know, investigate this area, see what's going on. They can activate the sluice box pump and find, you know, gold and gems. But they realize that no one's been working over here in a while. I also made a tile of this drill so the players could activate it if they figure out how to run it. And then they could use it to drill and find this hidden area behind. Or use it to drill to other places. I was just going to let them do that. Next, over here, they find kind of like a forge. And next to the forge is a rope leading into a dark area. At the bottom of this is actually a body, another brother. So their bodies will start stacking up, right? So 1, 2... right? As you start exploring, you'll find more and more evidence of the brothers, but no brothers, okay? Over here, another brother got caught in the spider's lair. And this goes back to a cool little area where there's like lava and whatnot. They could find a kind of a burial chamber. So the brothers knew there was rumors that these caves were used for burial sites as for ancient for ancient kings, but there really was no documented record of it. It was mostly just passed down story. And their family staked a claim on these caves in hopes that they would find those ancient treasures as well. All the while, they're still mining it for gems and precious metals, but their goal is to find the ancient kings of old. So that is kind of, I've hidden little like sites all around to kind of further pass that thought on. But there's hidden grave sites that they can only find through certain interactions that I have notations on for the map. So like here, there is a crack in the wall where air comes through, or they can feel the current of air. It's colder or warmer, whatever. So they could notice there's something there and they may want to blast through or dig through, right? Or use a spell to get through. Here, they would have to jump through these treacherous pits to even locate this place, and the bridge collapsed, so they need to find a way across. Kind of a fun thing there. Over here in this corner, I had another, this was going to be like the main like tomb with like tons of treasure. And there are guardians, constructs guarding it, or living armor, I guess, either or. But they could drill through this way, or after defeating this this beast that comes up from the water here, this rock would fall over when it dies and leave an opening. So I have several ways for them to find this. If they do an investigation check afterwards, then they would notice that there is a slight, like a draft or something, or a light. Anyway, does anyone, I don't know, have any feedback on these encounters or the map in general? Rev, it would be pretty fun, huh? Got another body down here. He actually has a journal, right? The journal has information. So the point of this was if they discover this area, the collapsed track, they can see the body down below. They can go down, fly down, jump down, rope down, whatever. Find the body, find the journal, and he, with his dying breath, wrote what happened further up the shaft and why it collapsed in the first place. Because he was trying to escape, and it collapsed, and he was bleeding out, so he wrote his final words as a way for people to know what's ahead. I don't know how many brothers we're up to now, but there's quite a few that died in the way to this. Now, lastly, here is the dragon's lair. And this particular part of the dwarf group is a large investigatory group where they're like, trying to punch through the mines and find different things, like different tunnels, different shafts that may have not been found before. So they'll start digging an area out that is promising and maybe find another area that opens up, right? So this area seemed promising to them, and that's why they were going through here. And they blasted through and found this massive chamber that happened to be a red dragon's lair. The red dragon, unfortunately, returned. The red dragon has an access point where it can get into this in the side of the top peak of the mountain. So this is way up in the peak of the mountain. There's an access hole that he can fly into and land in here. But when you're in a token view down inside, you can see outside because it's like a skylight. It's open here, but then the further you get into the cave... Oh, I got stuck on the gold. No! The further you get in, it actually has the roof of the cave. So it's like there's a skylight there. He flies down in and he roosts and just lays in his treasure pile, right? And the thing is, he was out hunting or whatever, doing his thing, getting more loot, when the dwarves discovered it. And the dwarves had started... They were like, we found it. We found the mother lode. They thought this was a burial chamber or a hoard. And they started ferrying treasure away. Like they were just loading up their bags with everything they could carry. And as they were getting ready to leave, they were discovered. So 3 dwarf brothers were over here working this area. 2 of them died instantly. As you can see, there's all sorts of treasure and piles of bones. The other one escaped. And I'm assuming in the, ensuing fury of the, maybe the fire and the dragon's calamity, things started collapsing over here. I was going to fill it in with more rock or something, but there's a bunch here and all through it. And then he died in this pit. So essentially you have brothers dying in all these different places and for different reasons at different times. Over here, these brothers are in the area. This brother was in the area I call Goblin Town. It's their most profitable node. They find gems and gold here all the time, but they're always searching for the burial sites and other stuff. So they think, well, I'll keep exploring while other people keep working this. So someone was using dynamite over here and met an explosive end, and then it also punched a new hole into this area, which is kind of a maze that leads through some lava tubes. That is the back entrance, the secret entrance into the dragon's cave, if you will. So essentially, if you explore this whole cave, I mean, you could level up quite a few times. You have a big spider lair with like a massive spider and a couple of baby spiders, right? You have treasure, several treasure hoards that could have magic items or just general loot. You have a secret entrance into the lair of the dragon and the main entrance, which the dragon obviously knows people can come through now, so he's kind of monitoring. An interaction back here with some sort of tentacled beast. I wasn't sure what I was going to do there. I was going to just homebrew up a stat block. Essentially, what I was going to do, though, was they were going to have the option to then go back and talk to the lady, tell her what happened to the brothers, and they have all this treasure, right, that they found, and they obviously don't own the claim to the mine, but they know there's a lot in there still, so they had the option to buy the claim from the lady with some of the treasure they found in the mine. and make it their own. I was going to let them buy the claim and then like hire hirelings to be working it, or they could work it or explore it more, etc. But it essentially opens up other opportunities too, because the wife, she still has connections in like her community and in like in the dwarven kingdom in the area where it was at, and she has family, cousins, brothers, sons, stuff like that. And so she was going to go back there to be with them, but that would open up a networking opportunity to you with this very, I wouldn't call them xenophobic, but closed off kingdom that does not like to allow outsiders in. So it was going to be one of the few kind of strands to get into that kingdom without too much pushback. Yeah, it could work as a bastion for sure, or an aspect of one. Hey, Rocks and Rarities, thank you, thank you. I appreciate the live, or the follow, and all the likes over there on TikTok. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Thank you for the likes and the follow. Sorry, I got a little tongue twisted there. Anyway, I hope you all love the backstory of my map. Sadly, I never got to go through this in a campaign of my own. I was developing a massive homebrew world that essentially got away from me. It is so massive, it's like getting to the point it feels Tolkien-esque. I might even just end up making it a book. But it started as like a one-shot and turned into like a massive homebrew campaign that I've have like almost the whole world's like lore and like a map and like all sorts of stuff. New races to add and like kind of a major plot line and hooks to follow. But this was an offshoot from it to give them things to do while they tried to figure things out from the main plot. But yeah, this map is one of my proudest builds. I really love this one. I don't have too many maps with tons of backstory like this, excuse me. But this is one of them. Here, I'll show you another map that I made on stream. I free-handed this before we had tracing, so please go easy on me, because, like, now we could probably trace, like, a helix map or a fossil layout really easy, and it would look amazing. And I'll show you all what I mean by tracing. But this map here is essentially, we came up with the idea for this on our Mapmaker Monday stream. And Mapmaker Monday, we host every Monday on our various channels. It's a multi-stream, so it's on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Steam, TikTok, etc. And we build a map live, usually using suggestions from the community to kind of make it a more community effort. So people will suggest what to do in the build, the theme for the build. So what they wanted to do was I build a map that is around a giant dead behemoth. Something that died a long time ago, and people turned it into like a functional site. You know, like Nowhere and Guardians of the Galaxy, or any number of places in lore or movies, Faerun, etc., where they may live in some kind of dead giant behemoth, long dead thing. So what this was a massive snail. Okay? And the snail would roam. It actually was a like dominant species in this ancient forest, and it was so big that when it died, the you know, basically the putrid air and acid and like everything that kind of leaked out of it as it died, the necrotic nature of it turned the entire vicinity into a vast desert. A system of dunes that are like hundreds of miles long, because nothing could thrive there for thousands of years. Nothing could grow or survive, okay? So that is the initial backstory for this snail shell. Why it's here, right? Now, thousands of years later, a group of pilgrims who were forced from their home due to a natural disaster, a massive earthquake. They had to leave the area. It was no longer safe, and they were forced across this massive dune to take refuge, right? And as they were crossing the dune, a massive sandstorm started brewing, and the only thing they could see in any direction that looked like shelter or any type of refuge was what looked like a large sandstone rock outcropping. So they started heading towards this rock outcropping. Imagine a group of like hundreds of survivors who are like literally just looking for a new home because they have nowhere to go, right? A group of families probably on a pilgrimage together, and this sandstorm likely would have killed them all had they not found refuge quick, because a sandstorm in the desert like that with limited provisions in a survival situation is not a good scenario for a large group, okay? They would lose each other, get separated, people would die, starve, all sorts of things can happen. So they made their way to this refuge and got inside as the storm approached, and the storm lasted for 40 days. During that time, they took refuge inside of this massive sandstone cavern that they thought it was, sheltered inside, and were able to survive and thrive. And during that time, they realized that this was actually not a cavern, but a large snail shell. And inside of it was a smaller, but quite large to them, snail shell as well, okay? But it's living, gestating, kind of like Mothra, how there's always like another Mothra, like in the cocoon, to follow up the Mothra that just died. So in this case here, we have a snail shell, and inside was another snail that was gestating and growing inside of the remains of this ruins of the old dead snail. Now, the people survived. They moved on. They found a very fertile, beautiful valley, and they thrived, okay? Thrived so much it became a massive city, and their ancestors, the city became like a beacon of civilization. And anyway, it's a massive city with trade, and the survivors of this event, they essentially kind of formed a pseudo-religion around it. And they come back to this site. It's a religious site, and they will come here as a pilgrimage as they come of age into their adult years, or their teen, like adolescent years, to prove themselves. Some may come here just to show that they're worthy of making it to the site and showing respect to their ancestors and the massive shell itself. Others come here to seek fame and glory. Others are just coming to sell stuff because it's a massive opportunity. Inside, though, a group of monks called the Order of the Helix have dedicated themselves to nurturing and protecting the gestating baby snail. So they built a temple inside where they protect it, and they essentially operate kind of like a religion on the site, and people will come and bring donations to show their reverence to the snail that saved their ancestors and provided them with an opportunity to thrive and grow to this day. So people will come and give, various food and, anything they can, whether it's gems or something that's valuable to them. It could be a bolt of cloth, books, art, anything. And so they come and make donations to the site, and pray and hang out there for weeks, and then leave and go back home. And it's supposed to be like a religious experience for them. So yeah, there's the backstory for the Snemple. I don't know if anyone cared about that, but I thought it was pretty cool. But out here you have various tents. There's like a stabling area where people can kind of put all their beasts of burden, and different vendors and different quality of life, people there. Just some are just various pilgrims with just the clothing on their back and maybe a tent. Others are like, merchants here to sell stuff and make a quick buck. Anyway, I think it's a beautiful map and an interesting concept. But now you could easily trace something like this. You could go find like a cool helix, like shape like this or something. And then you go into the tracing layer, like it looks so scuffed from a top down. But you could import an object, right? Or like an image of like a snail shell. Here, I have one in here, I think, somewhere. Like, could you imagine if I put this over it to begin with? No. Something like that, and use that as a trace. It would have been a lot easier to do. bit more see-through. But I think it would have been easier to sculpt the walls following, you know, something that kind of gives you something instead of freehanding it. But this option to trace is available to anyone. You could trace, you know, floor plans of existing maps from, you know, campaign modules. We actually have direct integration with Donjon, meaning the maps from their site are a 1-to-1 match or a 2-to-1 match for our maps. So you can actually download like a dungeon generated from Donjon, bring it over to us, and then you do a 1-to-1 match of the size that the map says from Donjon, and then it'll fit and trace perfectly. So you can just trace out a dungeon in a few minutes. Saves you tons of time. Anyway. I was talking so long about my backstory, I think I scared people off. About 2 hours. It was cool to hear. See, like, I love lore, like developing lore and like information for maps, but I feel like I overdevelop it because a lot of times, like when I would run one-shots or stuff, they would just skim right over it. You know what I mean? But me, when I'm playing, I'd be like, can you tell me more about this? Background as background. Anyway, I thought it was a fun, interesting story and kind of a fun build. But I honestly really do love creating like a webbed, like a woven environment for my players to really dive into if they want to. You know, it just kind of skims the surface of like, if they want to do that, that's fine. But it also has way more to get into it if they want to. Like, almost every bit of it, they could ask questions. And like, I put up notes and information for everything. Like, every tent I would have like a vendor tied to it and what they're selling. And you know what I mean? Oh, man. Oxen, see, that's the thing. I really like it when like a DM takes the time to develop the backstory of their campaign. It really is kind of my jam, you know what I mean? Mainly because I like to weave my character into that world. And I feel like I can't do that unless I know more about it, right? By the way, welcome to the stream. Hey, Gem Knight, dude, I did not see that you raided. I am so sorry. Thank you so much for that raid, and thank you, raiders. Honestly, I am so sorry I did not see that. Gem Knight, I owe you a massive apology. Honestly, okay, so my notifications on my stream are silent, and I just wasn't looking at the feed, and I just didn't notice it. So I am so sorry, man. I apologize to you and your community. That was a very cool move of you, and I messed it up. No, I don't. Oh, anyway, I feel bad. I honestly, that was a cool move of you, and I just, like, totally probably, like, made you feel awful about it, so I'm sorry. Again, I'm gonna stop apologizing, we'll move on, but yeah, thank you so much for the raid. What you been up to as of lately? What you been streaming? What you been doing on your channel? What you been gaming? How's life for you? You got any fun plans for Turkey Day? In fact, let's hear about everyone's plans who wasn't here earlier when we were talking about it. Anyone have plans for Turkey Day? Doing anything interesting? Are you just sitting at home and unbuttoning the top button of your pants so you can fit all the mashed potatoes and turkey in your guts? Because, yeah, I end up eating way too much on Thanksgiving, and then I'm like, I want to die. A woven environment for my players to dive into. Lolth, is that you? I mean, we don't need to get that deep into a weave. So, how you doing, Chris? Welcome to the stream. Morning Cthulhu game. Okay. Okay, is it Cthulhu or Cthulhu? I've heard it pronounced both, and I don't want to upset anyone. Or I could just interchange them, kind of like I do with GIF and GIF. Dude, Gem Knight, I feel you. I'm the same way. Like, I gotta start losing weight because my clothes aren't fitting me anymore. When I need new clothes, I just start losing weight again because all my old clothes will fit me. I'll be good. Hey, Cryptrite, thank you for the kind words. Well, if you have any questions while you're here, I'm the person to ask. As the community manager and someone with over 2,600 hours of Dungeon Alchemist map making, I feel like I am the authority on the subject and can answer any questions or concerns you have. Also, I would like to let you know while you're here, we do have a free demo that you can try out if you haven't and you want to kind of see how it runs on your computer. And right now we're on sale for 20% off through the Steam Autumn sale. That goes for anyone here who is, sitting on the fence, interested, wants to know more. You can try before you buy, see how Dungeon Alchemist runs on your computer with the free demo. And if you decide to get it, it's the best price it could possibly be at 20% off. Tryptophan coma, though, is like probably the best part about Thanksgiving is you just get to pass out, right? Is that just zombies all the way down, Trout? But thank you for the kind words, Cryptrite, and for letting us know that you enjoyed the view and you're hearing positive things about us. As an indie developer, a small team of less than 10 people, we really are just driven on word of mouth. It's not like we have a major advertising budget or, are on the scale of Wizards of the Coast or anything like that. So word of mouth is really how we get heard and, these streams and stuff like that. So it means the world to us when people speak kindly of us or telling us they're hearing positively of us. So thank you. Agent Covenant on Twitch asks, I'm very new to this. If I get an asset to look just the right way on one map, is there a way to save it and use it on other maps? Unfortunately, not at this time. There's no way to copy, a grouping or a state of an asset from one map to another. That being said, honestly, though, I will say that we are working on some things in the background. We have a tool already that we use internally that we call a variant creation tool. So there's a lot of objects in Dungeon Alchemist that you use already that come pre-decorated, right? Like this table here. Now, this is going to blow a lot of people's minds in chat. Before you have placed any object that's pre-decorated, whether it's a table or a desk or a shelf or anything, if it's pre-decorated like this, if you press tab before you finalize its location, it will rotate between a bunch of pre-configured decorated variants of said table. Now, we do this to help the procedural AI in our system have more randomization and more options. By the way, when I say procedural AI and AI in general, I want everyone to understand that we use last gen AI, proc gen, not generative AI. And at no point was our AI trained from public data, art, maps, anything like that. All the assets and data used to train it were all made internally by our very talented team of devs and artists. So, all of these pies and tables, those were made by our artist team. and the AI used to train the location when it generates stuff for, you know, the environment or inside a room, that was trained and designed entirely internally by our team. So we feel we took an ethical approach in developing our AI by not scraping any public data and by making all the art ourselves. So in that regard, I feel like, you know, using AI to help you save time for making maps and, you know, save time for your session prep so you have more time to have fun with your players, I think that's a great thing at the end of the day, and a great use and a very ethical use of AI. Not to toot my own horn, but I do think that is one of the few ethical exceptions on the market. That being said, kind of back to what we were talking about with tables, right? Before placing the table, you can press tab. Now, what this gets to is creating a grouping of objects that you can save, right? We already have a tool that does it. We're building internally a tool that allows you to group objects together, save them as a variant, and then stamp them around your map, all within the same map. So maybe you put a bunch of objects on a desk, you like it the way it's decorated, you could stamp it all over. Or you can transfer it between maps, i.e. you like a grouping of a tent you have all decorated on one map, and now you can take that tent and put it on another map, right? Instead of having to fill it out each time. That's the ultimate time saver. Now, on top of all this, they're talking about offering Steam Workshop integration for this feature. What that means is you'll be able to make an asset configuration, upload the asset configuration to the workshop, and others can download it and use that asset configuration as their own to save time. So you're essentially making stamps of object configurations that people can use. So this is something on the development path right now. It's currently being worked on. I don't know if it'll make it into the next update or not, but the plan is to try to make it into this update. So essentially, hopefully by our next update, probably, you know, before end of Q1 2025, you'll be able to, you know, group a bunch of objects together, save it, take it from, you know, place to place. All right. Let's open up another map. And then we'll probably wrap up the stream in about 10 minutes. Let's look on the workshop, see what we got here as far as popular. Let's look at some towns, actually. I really like this creator's work because they've made some kind of forced perspective cities, and it's really an interesting take. Dungeon Alchemist typically is made for, like, you know, regular scaling for, like, encounter maps and battle maps. But you can, you know, shrink objects down below their normal sizes or raise them up above their normal sizes. And that allows you to do, you know, essentially perspective builds where you make things look like it's a big town using lots of little objects, kind of like a scale model. I'm downloading a bunch of assets in this map. Anytime you find a map on the workshop that you like and you're like, oh man, where did they get all the different stuff in that? That's a great way to get all those assets, because if you just open the map and download it, it'll trigger this prompt to download every asset that's part of this map, so it'll add it to your object collection so you can use it in your own builds. There's a bunch of houses in here that have roofing, so you could put a bunch of just generic village homes in a village that aren't necessarily encounters, or, you know, they're just someone's home that maybe a place your players aren't supposed to go into. Knowing my players, they probably would, though. Right, thank you for that follow, by the way. Sorry I did not notice that. My notifications are a little delayed today. So I would like to just point out, again, a little shameless promotion. Dungeon Alchemist is on sale. And it will remain on sale through the 4th of December till 10 a.m. Pacific. It's 20% off. That's region-based pricing. So depending on your region, that pricing, it's going to be 20% off in your region. I don't know what your region price is. That means I can't tell you how much it is exactly right now. I know it's $35.99 in the US, but different regions have different scaling on their pricing. So moving on from that. If you are interested in Dungeon Alchemist, but you're kind of not sure if you want to purchase it, you can try out our demo. The free demo is available on our Steam store page. So you have both options right away. Gem Knight, I appreciate the kind words. Honestly, it really is always nice to get, the feedback from the cartographer community who uses Dungeon Alchemist on the daily for their campaigns, and whether, there's some people watching who make maps to sell them, some people make maps for their own campaigns, others are making maps for modules and campaign books. So we have a big assortment of people in our community that use Dungeon Alchemist for varied purpose. Ultimately, at the end of the day, though, it's a lot of tabletop enthusiasts. And we just love being able to accommodate to so many different, different parties' needs, and making so many tables happy. Now, if you look at this map from a top down, you have essentially a little cityscape. If you put a token in this, it'd probably be massive by default. It looks almost like a giant in this city, right? Speaking of which, let's do a kaiju. Let's make my Titan token walk around and smash stuff. But you can really have fun with Dungeon Alchemist as you start forcing perspective by making things smaller. Nice little city map is a great way to give your players an interactable environment that each, some of the key areas on the map could be, points of interest like a pub, a church, a prison, whatever, the courthouse, maybe a patron's house that you could stay at, any number of things. The workers district, and all these different things in tandem allow you to have interactables in a top down that your players can see, and then you can have separate scenes for the buildings they may enter at different points. So you don't necessarily have to have every one of these as an open place they go to. Just have, a floor plan of this building because it's a point of interest and they may enter it at some point as a separate map that you would load up. So, Covenant, how long have you been using Dungeon Alchemist? You say you're kind of new at this. I'm just curious. How long ago did you get it? If you don't mind me asking. About a month? Well, first off, thank you for your patronage. And I just want to let you know, these streams, anytime for the most part we're streaming, with the exception of our Damn Challenge stream where we're showcasing entries from a contest, the streams are open up to support needs for our community. It's like it's essentially a standing order for AMA in any of our streams. So you can pop in, whether it's this stream, Mapmaker Monday, office hours, the Damn stream, and we will stop whatever we're doing if someone needs help to provide real-time support and guidance. So if you have a question, suggestion, feedback, struggling, you're like, hey, how did they do these roofs? How do they do a multi-level? How did they do the forced perspective? That's what I'm here for. Our community loves assisting each other and enriching the community as a whole, because it really only makes our maps better and our campaigns more engaging. So we have a few people in our community that love to provide active support. Myself and staff love to answer questions and provide guidance on our development path and make sure you understand the product fully. As we're in early access, some things are quirky or still under development, so there are like workarounds and things that aren't standard features yet. You know what I mean? Additionally, we have a great moderator team and just one of the most wholesome communities out there. We have people constantly sharing maps and 3D models of their builds, so there's over 10,000 free maps available to anyone who owns a copy of Dungeon Alchemist. Almost 7,000 assets. We're at 6,900. We're on the cusp of 7,000. Many assets are fantasy, but some jump into like sci-fi, cyberpunk, Fallout, modern, etc. And it really expands the options of what you can do in Dungeon Alchemist right now. For instance, here's a blood splodge. We don't offer blood really splatters natively in DA, but here you go. Here's a ladder rope. Here's a bunch of different options to give you more for your maps if you want. Now, these are community-driven things here. Every one of these was shared by a map maker in our community who's just a passionate cartographer who loves Dungeon Alchemist and wants to make sure other people have these tools available to them to make all the maps they need. At the end of the day, I think that's pretty dope. I think that's awesome. I think we have one of the best communities in the world as a result of which, because just all that stuff shared. A lot of people out there are selling their maps or doing map packs and asset packs. We got people sharing it. I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, sorry to toot our own horn there, but I really, I am proud of our community, and I think they're just one of the best out there. I am the proud papa. I like that there's big boats on this like kind of river city. It implies that it's either, you know, adjacent to the coast, like maybe an ocean somewhere nearby. This could just be like an inlet, you know? Could also be like a man-made channel that goes between two, you know, cities and maybe the ocean. So this could just be a nice little city along this river that gets all sorts of commerce. Players could visit it from any number of places. It starts the process. So let me walk you through this, okay? So Agent Covenant, if you go into browse maps, right? You find a map you want to download. Like, let's say you like this map, right? This one's got a bunch of like apocalypse, abandoned, modern assets. So that's downloading a map or subscribing to the map is the fastest way to get all the assets in that map instead of hunting for them one by one. When you hit subscribe and download, it downloads the map first, then it triggers the Steam Workshop prompt for all the 3D models. Those are complimentary downloads to help the map fill out and look normal, right? Give it 1 second here. The workshop's kind of slow today. So it comes up and it says total size 598 megabytes. Tells you all the assets that are in the download, how their sizes, what their names are. So you could uncheck them. You could look at them. Maybe you don't want one of them because it's size or you don't like the name of it or whatever. Like this one's 51 megabytes for a palette. We could just undo the palette, okay? It's kind of a big asset, right? Gun crate closed, 43 megabytes. Some people may not want those big, massive assets clogging up their you know, file storage or DA in general. But you can hit select all, deselect all. If you deselect, the map will be very empty. It'll be just kind of a shell. Because usually when they're designed with a bunch of 3D models like this, it needs them to make it filled out. So you just hit download. It'll prompt the download depending on how your internet speed is and the workshop is at that time. May take a moment, may take a few minutes, because sometimes the workshop is slow. Nothing really we can do about Steam's speeds. I do know my internet is heckin' fast, or I wouldn't be able to stream right now to you. You wouldn't be able to see anything, right? So when it's done, it'll load up the map, and you'll have all these assets preloaded, and they're saved now in your object panel. So you can go to the object panel, and they'll be sorted out in the category the uploader put them in, and they'll also be under the downloaded assets section. So they'll be in two places, wherever they were categorized when they were uploaded, and the downloaded asset section. Goodness, this is taking forever. Work has a bad habit of getting in the way of my fun. Don't you know it? Honestly, I'm very lucky in that regard that my work is map making and Dungeon Alchemist and tabletop gaming in general. I do have a pretty good gig. It would be cool, like, to be able to run a campaign on the stream. Or be in a campaign on the stream. That's like the ultimate, getting paid to play tabletop gaming. I am almost there. But as the community manager for a software company that's geared around gaming and tabletop gaming. It's pretty fun to say to my mom that, you know, when you told me that I'd never be able to make a living from all my video games that I played and was like invested in and loved. Oh, she hates it. So if the map has no assets in it, then it won't trigger the download. Also, alternatively, no, you wouldn't be able to download the map if your Steam Workshop settings weren't configured to allow it. So you wouldn't be able to download a map at all. So the map you picked might have just been stock assets. So when you pick a map that is just 100% stock DA, it'll just download the map and load. It won't trigger asset downloads. Mm-hmm. And a good portion, I'd say, 70% of the maps on the workshop are kind of just stock DA maps, because a lot of people don't branch into the workshop assets, and a lot of them were uploaded before the workshop asset option was available. So there's going to be plenty of, maps that are just stock stuff. So now I'm in this map that looks like an apocalypse stuff. This isn't something you could do in DA, by default, but the fact that it is possible with, a little bit of know-how and some 3D models from the workshop makes it awesome. The workshop is heckin' fun. It's like an amazing resource. Let's say you don't have time one week to build a map. You could probably find what you need on here. Are you running a Lost Mine of Phandelver campaign? Just type in LMOP. There's hundreds of LMOP themed maps. Or if you type in Phandelver, you can find more. So basically, people have put in the time and the footwork for existing campaign modules that are very popular. So you either can use it as inspiration, or you can download it and just use it as your own. Save yourself a ton of time. Very cool to jump in here and find, something that's pretty much what you're looking for already. Was I the only one who, when I was growing up, that my parents said that video games were a waste of time and I'd never make anything of it myself doing it, or I'd never make money doing it? It's stupid. Like, there's probably people who tried to get into acting or singing or similar things and heard similar things, Look at me now, Dad! But having a career in the gaming industry is awesome. This map's great. I mean, it looks like it could be used like for a Walking Dead setting, Cyberpunk, Walking Dead. This could be a war zone. Could be any number of things. It could be used in all sorts of tabletop games, not just D&D. I mean, definitely not D&D. This doesn't look like anything like D&D. Oh my gosh, okay, so I gotta wrap up the stream, but I want to, before I leave, just talk about what I saw. Did any of you see the new Lord of the Rings supplement for D&D that they just, announced? Oh my goodness. So basically, it's like a standalone D&D Lord of the Rings campaign module, like a supplement that you can run. And it's got special rules and classes all geared around Lord of the Rings. Yeah, they just announced it. I saw it on their socials like yesterday, so I'm excited to see what it's about. But it's on sale. It's like $29.99. Not bad at all. But honestly, I'm just a big Lord of the Rings fanboy, so that's part of the problem. Is I'd probably just buy anything if it had Lord of the Rings on it. All right, everyone. Had a lot of fun hanging out on stream, but we got to wrap it up. We've ran for about 2 hours, 15 minutes now. It looks like a good time to call it. I appreciate everyone that hung out with us on this nice little bonus multi-stream where we were, talking about Dungeon Alchemist, its capabilities, showcasing very cool maps from the Steam Workshop, providing real-time support, and discussing, obviously, the demo and the very awesome 20% off sale that we have from the Steam Autumn Sale through December 4th. So, if you are, interested in what you're seeing here, want to check out Dungeon Alchemist and see how it may work for your needs, your campaign, definitely download the demo, try it out. And remember that sale is a finite amount of time, so grab the deal while you can if you're interested in it. Or if you already own a copy and you know a DM or friend that might be looking into it, let them know about it. And then lastly, if it's not in the budget this time of year with the holidays and everything, remember you can always wishlist DA, and the next time it goes on sale, you get a little alert from Steam so you can kind of keep track of the sales. Troutfoot, thank you for being here. And again, sorry about the little the information dump on you earlier regarding, rules and whatnot, but I appreciate you being understanding to it and adaptable. You know what I mean? So thank you. Covenant, it was nice hanging out with you, chatting about Dungeon Alchemist with you. And remember, if you need any assistance when the streams aren't live, I know that's kind of a limited window throughout the week. We also have our Discord, which is 24 hours. You can actually drop a question thread or a support thread in there any time of day. And myself, other staff, mods, or community members will drop in and provide support. And then lastly, we offer our wiki as well. So let me just drop a couple links for anyone who might not be aware. We've got our Discord link here in Twitter. And I'm going to drop our wiki as well. You can check them out. I'll put these in alternate chats here momentarily. Excuse me. Hiccups. Sorry for the duplicate, Twitch, but I gotta do this to post it everywhere else. Okay. Just posted the links across all our platforms that I can. Unfortunately, TikTok, you are left out here. I cannot post links there because they do not allow me to share links in our chat feed. But if you go to our profile and click on our profile, there is a link that goes to our website, dungeonalchemist.com. From there, you can locate our social media, our Steam page, our Discord. There's links at the bottom and the top kind of directing you to those various spaces. So if for some reason, you're unable to find it, dungeonalchemist.com is the place to go to kind of find everything Dungeon Alchemist related. Thank you everyone for being here. I had so much fun hanging out with you all on the stream. I know it was a random bonus stream to kind of just make up for the lack of the office hours earlier today and to celebrate the Steam sale. We'll probably be doing a few extra bonus streams during the Steam sale at random times. I'll probably just announce them right before we go live in our various social platforms. So they'll just be really kind of off the cuff, random streams with really no planning behind them other than, that's just during the sale. So I will be available extra. We do have normally scheduled streams, though. Those are going to be happening like normal. Every Saturday, we have a stream called either the Dam stream or the Dam Challenge. They alternate with each other. This upcoming stream is the Dam Challenge. It's been on the marquee the whole time. We've been kind of streaming. It says the Dam Challenge theme is 9x6. Anyone can enter that as long as you own a copy of Dungeon Alchemist. You just got to make a map that is 9x6 in size or smaller and submit it to the Dam Challenge Discord channel that is in the Dam Challenge channel located in our Discord. There's rules pinned at the top of the channel that you need to follow to qualify. And as always, make sure you're following the Discord server rules while entering and participating. The major thing with the Dam Challenge is it's an ongoing map making contest we host every 2 weeks. It's a great way for our community to kind of show off their map maker muscle and show their skills off to our, cartographer community. The current theme has actually gotten lots of entries. There's like 14, 15 entries, quite a few. And I think it's because it's such a small size and everyone's kind of on holiday break and stuff. But a map of 9x6 of anything you want, just make a map, submit it, and you have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card. Your map is the first map featured on the Dam Challenge stream, giving like 20-30 minutes of airtime. And we feature your map in our weekly newsletter that week. So like this was the previous winner. They got a bunch of eyes on it, extra subs. People were able to check out their work as a result of which. So if you're interested in winning a $10 Hero Forge gift card, getting a little bit of, basically a little bit of fame in our community and just kind of challenging yourself to see what you can do and what you can come up with, please, by all means, enter. The 9x6 challenge is a perfect one to kind of intro yourself with it. Still a couple of days you can enter between now and end of day on the 29th. The next stream after that is Monday that's scheduled, and that's Map Maker Monday. It's Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. UTC. That is a live map making stream. I've been building a massive ancient cemetery complex, and that cemetery is 82 by 82 so far, and it's coming along. There's getting a lot of detail to it, but it's essentially a big huge cemetery with different aged plots and different status plots. There may be like rich fancy mausoleums and more medium rated graves and pauper graves. And then there's a big, huge cathedral with a beautiful garden and a 3-story bell tower. Bunch of different things. I'm going to load up that map and then we'll end the stream so everyone can kind of see what we're working on. But thank you, everyone that participated in this random stream. I know it was just a fun little bonus. Again, I do want to just say my name is Mac, the community manager. So if you didn't catch my name earlier, you're not sure who I am. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. It's nice to meet you if it's your first time here. And if you've been here before, I appreciate you being here, supporting our community initiatives. Whether you were actively chatting or just lurking in the background, that is all good to me. I appreciate it either way. Thank you for also keeping me company, those who were here chatting during the stream, because, I'd go insane otherwise without the community here backing me up. I'll show this map really quick and then we'll wrap up the stream, and then you all can enjoy your Turkey Day tomorrow if you're celebrating. I will be off tomorrow, probably won't be posting much. I may be monitoring socials, but I will not be streaming tomorrow unless I am just bored out of my gourd. But here we have this map that like I said, been working on intermittently, probably once a week for about an hour or two per week. We just do a little bit of building each week, and we provide live support and show people how to do different things while we're building the map. But as you can see, there's a big, massive road, parking, cathedral with a paved pathway garden all the way around, with like statues and plants and lights, all sorts of things going on here. 3-story bell tower that I built by hand, by stacking freestanding walls on top of the existing walls. All I did was disable collisions, and I found a freestanding wall in these that matched. Let's just assume this is the right match. Oops, that isn't freestanding. It's regular. We got to go into objects, structural, freestanding walls right here. And these, if you say you put it right there, you can raise it up, get it at roughly the right height, and then start snapping them into place if you're actually facing it. See what I mean there? So after you get one that kind of starts falling into place rather easy, but it's really rather simple to add a second floor wall by hand. Fortunately, the windows and stuff will be a little weird. Our next update will do away with this though, so you won't need to worry about it. Multi-level will be built into Dungeon Alchemist. In fact, I'm going to share a clip with that and we'll wrap up the stream, okay? Thank you everyone for being here. Had a lot of fun hanging out with you all today. Here's a little insight to some of our next update, which we're hoping to release Q1 2025. It will have multi-level structures. You'll be able to generate and fill in the multi-level structures using our AI. So it saves you a tremendous amount of time. The structures will be navigable in first person, and you'll be able to export them all a layer at a time. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I hope you have an amazing Turkey Day. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. I'll run an ad and end the stream. Thank you so much for being here.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, and before...
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him!
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the
Fabled realm of Goyak-Ta. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cap.
Poor Woblin.
Care to explain?
Download Dungeon
Or
Alchemist,
DM.
the
We've all been there,
AI-powered
haven't we?
map maker, on Steam today.
Use.
All right. Thank you everyone for being here. See you next time. I give a damn. Back out.